Man, I hope you guys can hear that. Hello, Jacksonites, and I really hope this year doesn't turn out to be a repeat of 2022. But apologies for my absence. How long has it been since my last video? Yeah, I really hope you guys can't hear that. um. Oh, it's been almost a month since my last video. Well, admittedly, it's because, well, it was a number of reasons, but one of them was it was very busy at work. I've also been I've also been learning how to drive, which has been taking up some time, and just overall life sometimes gets in the way of things that you really want to do. But fret not, I'll try to get back on track to having a somewhat consistent upload schedule. But today I'll be getting two videos out to you guys, and this first one's probably not going to be very long. But as of late, I have been. Well, actually, let me preface that. So, for those of you who've been around for only X amount of time, like those that haven't been with my channel since 2016, um, excuse me, you might be surprised to know that I am actually a big fan of bladed and melee weapons. Um, I'm a big fan of martial arts movies. I'm a big fan of like various kung fu weapons and Japanese weapons and such. Um, and I'm just a big fan of knives, big and small. Though usually I'm a more bigger fan of big knives. Um, and as of late, I've just been really into expanding on my knife collection and my survival tools collection, like flashlights and rope and rainproof gear and survival bags and survival tools and such. Um, but of all knife brands in existence, hands down, my favorite is Cold Steel. I am a huge fan of Cold Steel products, and I've been collecting Cold Steel products for about 4 years now. I don't have that many. Well, I have a fair few, but yeah, I don't have that many. Just real quick, I'll show you guys. Yeah, Cold Steel. That's the brand name. Created by Lynn Thompson, and I believe it was 1980 when it was first founded. Um, and well, he sold the company and he retired from being the president of Cold Steel in 2020 of all years. But Lynn is still somewhat involved with releasing Cold Steel product. But yeah, for the last 45 years almost, um, Cold Steel has been releasing really high quality, really like kick ass knives and machetes and swords, hatchets, EDC knives, survival knives, combat knives. Yeah, like 45 years, and a lot of their product is like a knife's dream, a knife collector's dream, and some of them are absolutely ridiculous, but they're also absolutely awesome at the same time. And I just kind of thought it would be because I've been watching a lot of people's Cold Steel collection videos as of late, and it just got me inspired to do my own Cold Steel collection. I don't have that many, like I don't have every single piece of product that Cold Steel has released. So compared to other people's collections, mine is fairly small, but still I just want to showcase what I this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I just wanted to have the box to showcase the name and look of Cold Steel. Um, but yeah, compared to others, mine's pretty small, but still, there are some Cold Steel staples in my collection that every collector of Cold Steel knives should own. So yeah, don't expect like a further expansion video of the rest of my knives cuz I own close to maybe 50 knives in my entire collection. Cold Steel's a small part of it. Um Maybe I'll do it sometime in the future if some people reach out to me and say they want to see more. But as of right now, my focus is on Cold Steel. Cold Steel is my favorite brand. I think Cold Steel has the best product. There's some others like Mountain Elk Range, I think it's called, Gerber, which is kind of hit or miss for me. Um, MTech USA, which has some decent stuff. But yeah, Cold Steel is my favorite, and Cold Steel is the one that I want to focus on and get the most amount of stuff from them first before I move on to any other brands. But starting off with something non lethal, but it'll still hurt. This actually, right here, was the very first Cold Steel product that I ever got. It's not a real sword, obviously. It's a polypropylene training katana. I did some modifications. Originally, there was like a real life wrapping style piece of plastic around the grip, but I thought it was really uncomfortable. So the pommel here, which has a skull on it, um, it usually can screw off, but I've had this thing for so long, I've never touched it. But yeah, this can be screwed off, and I took that thing off and I wrapped a bunch of electrical tape to various um, layers of thickness, for lack of a better term, all throughout the grip. But it's really comfy, and it's very secure. It's not very slippy at all, which is something you want in a good sword or knife, is if your grip isn't very slippery. But I once left this out in the rain for about 6 months, and I brought it back in, and there's not a nick or scratch or um, deformation in the blade whatsoever. I train with this all the time. This is one of my favorite possessions, and I guess it technically could be used as a weapon because it polypropylene is a pretty indestructible material. But yeah, this is my first Cold Steel product, and I love it. And speaking of polypropylene, next up is the Cold Steel Gunstock Club. This is a Native American weapon. That it's a carved piece of wood that looks somewhat like a gun stock, but and in the Civil War and Revolutionary War times when uh, soldiers had those single shot muskets, oftentimes they would just grab the gun by the barrel and they would use it as a club. So a lot of Native American the origins of the creation of the Gunstock Club are not 100% well known, but it can be assumed that a lot of Native Americans, they just took that style of combat and just made a weapon that looks like a gunstock club. And the whole thing is one giant piece of polypropylene. It's textured to feel somewhat like wood, and it is quite comfy, and it's quite heavy. And since a lot of Native American martial arts and weapons, they focused on blunt force trauma. Yeah, if you whack someone upside the head, this will definitely cause some damage. But this here, um, a lot of times they would throw these as tomahawks, and this here is a piece of metal. It's not like razor sharp this way, but the point obviously is very sharp. I have thrown this like a tomahawk quite a few times. It's very tricky, but um, when this thing gets smashed into a tree, it goes deep. Um, yeah, this is another one of my favorite possessions that I own. I keep this next to my bed in case someone tries to break in. And yeah, this is my go-to thing to reach for if someone was to try to attack us. Um, and the way it's designed, so like this is quite sharp. This here is quite sharp. This here is quite sharp. So it's designed that seemingly no matter how you throw it, if it connects with somebody, it's gonna cause some damage like bonk, 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 and major bonk. But yeah, I love this thing. My friend Nate got me this for Christmas, I believe, last year. And yeah, I love it, love it, love it, love it. Alrighty, now let's get into the bladed weapons. I have a mix of cold steel fixed blades and folding knives. So, well, just start with the smallest cold steel knife that I own. This right here, this is the Cold Steel Finwolf. I wanted the blue grip, and the grip itself is a bit smooth, but it is textured, so you can still get a nice. If it gets wet or if your hands are sweaty, it's still going to stay in your hand. But it also has a very nice um, grooved grip. So if you get your hand all the way around it, it's not going to go anywhere. But I believe this is a 3-inch blade. It's quite shiny, as you can tell. Um, I don't remember the exact specifications, like how much it weighs or how long the total length is. I'm not really interested in that kind of thing, but I'm just more so interested in the blade length. Yeah, this is not necessarily like a combat knife. I mean, you could definitely defend yourself with it. Just slash at somebody if they're trying to attack you. But this to me is more like a utility knife, like for cutting open boxes or packages or doing tasks if you're out in the wilderness, like gutting a fish or feathering a branch or what have you. Just doing small tasks that require a small knife. But that's fine. That's why I bought this because I felt like it was a nice shaped and nice sized small folding knife for small tasks. So yeah, that's why I got this. It's quite comfy too. It's very thin. It doesn't really take up a whole lot of space in your pocket. Um, Another folder. Actually, no. Let me go for this one. Outside the training katana, the very first cold steel knife that I ever purchased was this one right here, the Cold Steel XL Luzon. This is a 6-inch blade, and this is the only cold steel large knife that has what's called a liner lock. A lot of pocket knives from generic brands have these. It's right here. This is the lock. If you swing the blade out, there's that little piece of metal that pops out and keeps the blade in place, and it has this nice secondary lock right here. If you engage that, the liner lock will stay engaged, so it adds some extra security to the blade in case you want to use this for some more heavy use. One of my favorite things about this knife is this little knob right here. Now you could deploy this by pressing this down. It's the thumb tab, I think it's called, and then swing out the blade. Um, but I think they call this a pocket wave, where you have it in your pocket and you grab hold of the grip and you pull it against the edge of your pocket. It's going to snag on this tab right here, and as you pull it, it deploys. So once you pull it all the way out of your pocket, the blade is already out. So you don't have to spend that split second to pull it out and then flip it open. You could also, a lot of cold steel knives, you can deploy them like this too. I call it, some people call it like they shake it open, but I just call it a flip, where you essentially do this. Now when you do this, if you ever like have a knife this size, you want to make sure of two things. One, you have a very firm, secure grip on the knife like this, so that when it does flip open, it doesn't fly out of your hand. But you also want to be very aware of your surroundings. So you don't want to take this and have it just over here, flip it open, and then whack somebody in the face with the tip of the knife as they're walking past because you weren't paying attention. But yeah, it takes some skill. Well, not really some skill, but it takes practice to be able to deploy this willy nilly. But yeah, this is one of my personal favorites. I carried this on me for over 4 years. No, almost 4 years. This never left my pocket for, yeah, almost 4 years. This was my go-to. Like if somebody, because I live in not very pleasant area, so if someone was to ever try to attack me, this was. I always felt very secure knowing this was in my pocket in case someone tried to attack me. Yeah. XL Luzon, 6-inch blade. One of my favorites. Next up is a cold steel knife that I always wanted. And I was very, very happy once I got my hands on it. This here is the Cold Steel Spartan. This does have another pocket wave where you can snag onto your pocket and deploy it as you pull it out of your pocket. Yeah, this is a 4.5-inch blade. It's a kukri style blade. Has that really wide blade belly. So if you go to slash at somebody, if it comes into contact with their arm and you pull down, that wide belly is going to bite and dig deep right into someone's arm or wherever you snag it onto. Yeah, this is one of my personal favorites. I was very, very pleasantly surprised with this knife when I first got it, and this grip right here is very, very nice. A lot of people have said that this wouldn't really fit for somebody with large hands, but not. I like to think I have pretty large hands, and in my opinion, this fits in the hand very, very nicely and very snugly. The pocket wave also works well as a thumb plate, so you can press your thumb up against that and have some good control. Um, and also, it has a nice little piece out the bottom here in case you want to smack somebody in the forehead. You certainly can. And yeah, this thing's not going anywhere. And also, if you want to have a little bit more reach, the grip down here. I don't know if this is recommended, but I find that because it's such a deep hook, if you wanted to hold it like this, it's not going to go nowhere. If someone grabs hold of it, and you have a strong grip, this knife ain't going nowhere. But yeah, that'll afford you some extra reach if you ever wanted to slash at somebody or chop into something if you're out in the wilderness. But a big reason why this is one of my favorites. So Lynn Thompson, again, the former owner of Cold Steel, he has a story about how a friend of his at one point was just carrying this, and he was in not a very nice neighborhood, and he was attacked by somebody at a gas station, and the guy's attacker also had a knife, and the guy was cut 12 times all over his chest and his hands and his arms. But by the time Lynn's friend had deployed his Spartan, he ended the fight in just 2 slashes. pretty sure he was exonerated. I'd like to think he was. But yeah, the Cold Steel Spartan. This is one of my absolute favorites. Oh, by the way, I should say that this is a 4.5-inch blade. If I didn't mention that already, um, yeah, it's a little shorter, obviously, than the Luzon, but it's a wider blade. So I think that makes up for that. This is a very gnarly looking knife, if you ask me. And by the way, this has what's called the cold steel liner lock, where you deploy it, and a lot like normal pocket knives, but it's a lot stronger. You deploy the blade, and this little notch here clicks into the back, and you have 3 points of contact inside the knife to strengthen the blade to keep it from closing shut on someone's fingers. I think they tested this to be able to, when it's deployed, it can hang about 400 pounds on that liner lock before it snaps shut. Let's go for a fixed blade because I only have 4 fixed blades, so that should be. By the way, I don't have any burp fuel. I just have some juice here. But next up is the Cold Steel GI Tanto. This was pretty inexpensive. This cost me about $27. Cold Steel products, they wildly vary in prices. A lot of the folding knives are about $50 plus. The Finn Wolf was 27. The XL Luzon was 30. But every other Cold Steel folder that I paid money for was $40 and above. Keyword is paid money for. But the fixed blades are pretty inexpensive. Well, the tactical, most of them fixed blades are pretty inexpensive. This was one of them. This was the no, this is the second Cold Steel fixed blade that I ever purchased. Yeah, the GI Tanto. 7-inch blade, and it's obviously a Tanto style blade. Tanto is a Japanese samurai knife, essentially, but it's got that square blade, just like a katana or a real Tanto. The grip is really comfortable. It may look kind of squarish, but it's very pleasantly rounded out, and it's got these grooves on the inside for your fingers to grab onto. And yeah, it's quite comfortable. I don't recommend this as a thrusting weapon or well, I mean, I guess you could stab with it, but like if you stab into wood, I don't recommend that because these little notches right here, which are great, like hand guards, so your hand doesn't. That looks weird. Your hand doesn't slip up and onto the blade. But if you stab into like hard wood, these notches are gonna smash into your fingers. So I don't recommend doing that. But this is a really nice knife. It's very sharp. I think. Yeah, it shaves hair off my arm. That's called the redneck sharp test. If it's sharp enough to shave your arm with, and it comes in this really nice tactical sheath, which it has a belt snap here to keep it in place. But even if you wanted to just put it in the sheath just like this, it snaps into place pretty good and it's pretty secure. If you shake it around, obviously it's not going to fall out. So yeah, GI Tanto. Let's see. Next up, we have the XL Voyager clip point variant. There are 5 different variants of the XL Voyager. There's the clip point. There's the other one that I own. There is a drop point blade, which is a lot like this, but it goes all the way out to here. There's no clip point. And then there's a crisp blade that is a really wavy type blade. And then there's the Vaquero, which is kind of wavy. It has one wave and it's a lot skinnier, which I don't have those. I have two Voyagers. Yeah, this was the first one that I got. This cost me $60. No. Yeah, this cost me $60. Well worth it. I carried this for a good amount of time too. I felt pretty secure. The XLs, which are these right here, these have 5.5-inch blades. And they have, I think, 6.5-inch handles. Now, the way these handles are designed, they're designed to have a lot of variety for how you can grip it. If you want to choke up on it, as they call it, hold it like this so that you can have a lot of control over the blade. So even though this is a 5.5-inch blade, you can still do some small tasks with the knife choking it up like this. You can hold it just like this, the standard way. Or if you want some extra reach, you can hold it down here. That's what these two grooves are for. I like to hold on to it like this, though I think it's recommended you hold on like this. But again, if you have a strong grip, if you hold on to it just like that, you still have, like, this is 5 inches, and I think this is another 2 inches. So you got 7 inches of reach if you want to chop down with it, or if you wanted to slash at somebody with it, you got a little bit of extra reach, which is nice. And the grip itself is textured kind of like truck bed, as I call it, but it's very textured. It's very grippy. If this is wet or if your hands are wet, this is still isn't going anywhere. Not just because of how the handle's designed to, contour and fit into your grasp, but with how it's textured, it's not going anywhere. Yeah, this is still a nice one. I carried this for a good amount of time. And again, but it also doesn't take up too much space in your pockets. It's kind of wide. I think this is the widest of all the XL Voyagers, but still, like, width wise, I don't think it's that thin. This one, the Spartan, you can't flip it open. But this one you can. Excuse me. I might as well just show this. Next up is the Tanto XL Voyager. This is my favorite thus far of the Voyagers. I do want to get the other three. I think the Chris Blade will be my next one that I get my hands on. But yeah, this is my favorite of the XL Voyagers thus far. I carried this a little longer than the clip point blade. And yeah, this is the one. This is the one I would go to. If I had to carry one Voyager, this would be the one. They do have also serrated variants of the Spartan, the Tanto Voyager, and the Vaquero variant. But I'm not a big fan of serrated blades. I think the only one that I would get, though, ironically, is the Vaquero, or maybe this one too. Yeah, this is another one of my favorites. I've been saying that a lot, but yeah, this is one of my favorite cold steel knives. Yeah, this is awesome. This feels a lot more substantial to me. Yeah, same thing, same grip. All the Voyagers have the same grips. So, choke up here, grab it here, grab it here. Yeah, I love this one. This replaced the Luzon for a little while before I got my newest um go-to carry, which I'll show in just a little bit. But yeah, love this one. Love it. And not only does this not take up a whole lot of space width-wise, but this is the skinniest of the Voyagers. Like you can see a difference in width. This one's not going to take up nearly as much space. So yeah. Yeah, I like these ones. And this one was a little cheaper. This cost me about $55. Well worth the money. I was very, very pleasantly surprised with it. Alrighty, next up is another fixed blade. This is the Shanghai Shadow. This is designed to look a lot like a Japanese kunai knife, like if you watch Naruto, or I guess it kind of looks like Scorpion Spear, but yeah, this is more so I think supposed to be a throwing knife, but it obviously can be used as a regular like combat knife. This definitely to me more so comes off like a combat knife. I suppose you could take this out in the wilderness, but because it's double edged, it's not recommended for something like batoning, which is where you try to cut a piece of wood in half and you take another one and you just whack the blade through the piece of wood. Yeah, I can't do that really with this one because it's double edged. You could lash it to a long stick and use it as a spear point, which with how sharp this bastard is, it certainly would make a good spear point. And yep, it is sharp enough to shave with. And it has this ring in the bottom, which could be used as like an extra thumb securing grip so that you can stab even better with it. I don't recommend you do it with this, but you could spin it around karambit style if you wanted to. Karambit! Meadow doesn't like that word. Or I guess if you really wanted to, you could channel your inner scorpion from Mortal Kombat, and stick a piece of rope in that ring and use it as a rope dagger. But again, I don't really recommend you do that with this being double edged and with how sharp it is. Yeah, this is the cheapest that I paid money for. Cheapest cold steel knife that I ever purchased. This cost me $20. Worth it. And this is another 7-inch blade, by the way. Oh, I'll show another. Okay, so never mind. I have 5 fixed blades. Meadow got me this for, I think, Christmas or Valentine's Day. But this right here, this looks like a filleting knife or a fish knife, but this is the Outdoorsman Light. There's another cold steel knife that's more high quality. It's just called the Outdoorsman, but this is like the budget or lesser quote unquote variant of the Outdoorsman. But yeah, I like this one a fair bit too. I keep this in my backpack. It's like a nice rugged outdoors knife, obviously, duh. You can baton with this pretty well. It's very slicey, so that you can gut fish or prepare game pretty easily with this. It's got a very. I'm not a huge fan of how skinny the handle is towards the end, but it's rubberized, so it's very very grippy. So even if you again if you have wet hands, and because of how this sheath is shaped, if you just grab onto that little piece there, it's gonna come out no matter what. But it's also quite so. I don't know if you can hear it, but so someone tries to snatch this from you, if they don't know how tight the retention is in this sheath, they're not going to be, and you're going to feel them tugging at your belt if you manage to not notice them. Yeah, this is a nice one. I like how the blade is shaped. Looks like a almost like a dagger. Yeah, I like this one. One of my favorite presents that Meadow ever got me. There we go. Okay. Next up, my second, god damn it. My second to last of my folders. This here is the SR1 Lite Tanto version. There's a clip point version of this, which I used to have that, but I gave it to my stepdad as a birthday present. Yeah, but of the two variants, this is the one that I prefer. The kind of like with the Voyagers, the Tanto variant just looks a little more substantial. It looks a little longer, even though both blades are just 4 inches. The Tanto looks more, yeah, just more substantial. The grip is very comfy, in my opinion. It's again kind of like with the Spartan. It's very secure. It's got these two notches at the top and bottom, so if your hand or the knife itself get slick, it's going to stay pretty securely. But it is also textured pretty nicely. It kind of feels like sandpaper. So it's very nice in your hand. And this is the thickest cold steel folder that I have. You can see, like, compared especially to like the Finn Wolf, you see how thin it is. And then look at the SR1 by comparison. These are described as like folding pry bars, which I really like. These things are durable as fuck, but they're also quite sharp too. And this is generally my backup. Like if I was to, I would want to use this as a tool, but if I needed to use a backup defense weapon, this I would feel pretty safe with, because of how sharp it is and because of how stout it is, the blade itself. And this one too. Also, you can't wave this one open. At least I don't think so. Well, you can do it downwards if you shake it hard enough. Um, but waving it open like this, nah, you can't do that with this one. It's too small. But this one I can wave open. Yeah. It's very smooth too. Like just opening up like this, it's very buttery smooth. And the click that it makes when it deploys is quite satisfying. Well, all of them are actually pretty satisfying, but this one in particular, again, probably because of how thick it is. Next, I just got this one yesterday. It was a belated birthday present from my friend Nate. But here we have the Cold Steel Recon Tanto. This is done in a somewhat similar style to a lot of Gerber knives, where the sheath itself has this piece right here where you insert the knife and you literally click it in place. Weld and carry. I like that name. Um, yeah, I've wanted one of these for quite a long time too. By the way, the SR1 Tanto, this cost me $40. Well worth it if you ask me. But yeah, this one I got for free. It was a belated birthday present from my friend Nate. I just got this yesterday, and I was very, very excited to get my hands on this. They Cold Steel has a. Well, I appreciate the sub, but like I said earlier, this will probably be like a one-off video for knives. I have other knives, weld and carry, but I don't know if I'll do a video showcasing all those. I have a lot of random stuff from a lot of different brands, but yeah, I just wanted to show off my Cold Steel ones. But I appreciate the sub. I'll have to check out yours too. But anyway, so yeah, Cold Steel has a different, couple other different knives that are called the SRK, which stands for Special Rescue Knife. That's very similar in appearance to this. Um, and I kind of like to think that well, I suppose this probably was intentional, but the SR1 is probably like a folding version of the Special Rescue Knives. Um, they have two. There's the Special Rescue Knife, which is a lot like this, but it has a clip point blade. Um, it's a 6-inch blade. Then that they have the SRKC Special Rescue Knife Compact, which is another clip point, and it has a 5-inch blade. But this is the one that I really wanted the most, the Recon Tanto, which is essentially a SRK Tanto. This is a 7-inch blade, and it has an excellent Tanto point on this. And it's very sharp. It's very stout. If you can tell the blade width here. Actually, I think I can't because I still have the box that this came in. The blade length is 7 inches. The overall length is 11 3/4 of an inch, so just under a foot long. All right, later welding, Carrie. The blade thickness is 5 millimeters, and I'm pretty sure the SR1 Light is about the same. Oh, by the way, they call this the material, because this is also quite rubberized, like my Outdoorsman Light. They call it Cray X. I don't know why they call it that, but this is an excellent outdoors slash combat knife. Yeah, very, very rubberized, very grippy handle, and I like how it has that little swell right in the middle, so it fits into your hand very securely. This you can cut game with, you can gut fish, you can baton with it. This is an excellent, excellent outdoors survival knife slash combat knife, because you take this out and it looks pretty, would be a pretty gnarly combat knife. And again, kind of like with the Recon and Shanghai, if you want to just leave the button strap unloose, unloose, and you want to just have it open out like this, you really gotta tug on that to get it out of its grip, which is good. It's important to keep your weapon secure. Yeah, Daddy's very happy with this knife. Thank you very much, Nate. And next up, we have technically, this is a machete, but because of how short it is, I'm going to call this a big knife. But here we have the Black Bear Bowie Machete. There's another one that I really wanted for a long time. I love Bowie knives. I think they're one of the most badass looking knives in the history of human history. And if you take that and turn it into a machete with the Cold Steel name on it, I'm down. This bastard is very sharp. It's very chunky. Feels like a good chopper as well as a good like field knife. And again, it technically is a machete because it has, I think, a 13-inch blade. But that's not that much bigger than the biggest of Bowie knives, like regular actual Bowie knives. So I just call this a big knife. Um, a very comfortable grip made out of pure polypropylene. I added a little bit of electrical tape just to give it a little bit more texture to grab onto. But yeah, this this bastard's awesome. And I like how the sheath is kind of ambidextrous, so you can put it back in either way and it works. Um, yeah, this is an awesome knife. Love it. And then finally, the final cold steel knife that I have, this technically, this is the most expensive knife that I will ever pay for. But I got to pay for it in pieces because my friend Charlene got this for me. This is the largest folding knife that I will ever own. The Cold Steel Espada XL. Now, a lot of people go nuts over this knife. And so many people who are Cold Steel fans, this is like the top of their wish list for Cold Steel knives to own. And I see why now that I actually have one. This is a 7.5-inch blade, and it's got a wicked big belly, a wicked sharp point, and yeah, it is very very sharp. I've already used this a few times, and it cuts through like blackberry bushes and small branches like butter. This is a awesome fucking knife. And again, this one has the pocket clip, or not clip, pocket wave, so you can snag it onto your pocket and deploy it as you yank it out. And the way that, so this grip, it may look really strange, but it is designed so that you can hold on to it in different ways. You can hold on to it all the way back here, and this gives you the maximum amount of reach. So yeah, 7-inch blade with I think about 4, maybe 5 inches right here. So you have like 15 inches of reach if you want to slash at somebody or something. This notch right here, you can grab onto it like this and give it a bit of a pistol grip. And this is the way that I prefer to hold on to it. If I'm going to use some reach and some leverage, this is how I prefer to grab onto it. Because, you know, that is a fair bit of space. If somebody was to attack you, they could try to grab onto it. But if you hold on to it like this, it ain't going to go nowhere. You can hold it like this too, kind of like the Voyagers. This is I guess the standard way to grip it. And also like the Voyagers and the Spartan, the pocket wave acts as a good thumb plate. And if you want to choke up on it like this, you sort of can use it pretty well in a controlled manner to do some small tasks. Um, Lynn Thompson also believes that a big knife can do anything a small knife can do, but not vice versa. And I definitely believe that is very true. Like you take this can do anything that the Fin Wolf can do, but the Fin Wolf cannot do anything that the XL Espada can do. To quote Lynn Thompson, I can skin a mouse or a rabbit with this pretty easily. And I can skin a rabbit or a mouse pretty easy. Not pretty easily, but I can do it with this. But I can also skin like an elk or a moose or even an elephant. You can't do that with a small knife like this. You can't skin an elephant with this Fin Wolf. That's for pretty damn sure. Um, this is my go-to carry for like if somebody was to try to attack me, I'll just pull this out and be like, "Hey, come on, dude. You want to play games?" Because admittedly, and Lynn Thompson talked about this too at one point. If you pull a knife this size out of your pocket, if someone tries to attack you, just pull it out and they'll be like, "Nope, never mind." And I like that. It's a good deterrent. I don't want to fight somebody. I don't want to hurt somebody, but I'm not above hurting somebody if they're trying to hurt me or my family. And I feel like it'd be a good idea if you had some good tools to be able to do that effectively. And this certainly is one of them. So yeah, this is one of my biggest prized possessions. I'm very glad to finally own an XL Espada. So oh wow, this took a little longer than I expected. Um Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this video with your friends. And as always, go out and collect some knives. Be very careful. Have proper training when you're handling knives. Protect yourself safely. And I will see you guys in the next one.